Hello and welcome to episode 131 of the Boot Nerds podcast. JayMike, what's going on?
Things are pretty good in Denmark, same old, lots of stuff dropping at the moment, which is good. I like that. It stopped raining, so I'm not complaining either. Man United still suck, so, I haven't stopped caring, but I'm just, just in a constant state of just disappointment.
No,
these days.
don't be negative, Jay. You can't, once you get in a negative mood because of a sports team that you really have no effect over, that's not a good way to live your life.
Well, that's basically the way I've been living my life for the past 20 years. And I know you don't have, that team that you just, it's just a hardcore, happiness and sadness relationship with it, but
because I've done it. I don't want to be angry for a week because of something I had nothing to do with.
No, I should basically be happy that United didn't lose, but that also feels so sad, It's just like, hey, we didn't lose. We suck so hard.
Yeah.
We didn't lose to the bottom.
The bar's been lowered quite significantly for them lately.
It well and truly has. I mean, it's the, I became a fan in 97 and, that period has obviously been a blessing, but it's also been a curse because now I just expect United to win everything. And obviously they're not gonna for the next foreseeable future. So yeah, I hope you're doing better than at least my football life is.
They are the predator edge of the Premier League at the moment.
That was crossing the line. That's not fair. That's not fair. I will say, we can give them some stick, but that was
too harsh.
Fair. Yeah,
too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Well, what's up with you, man?
I'm good. I'm currently crying out of just my right eye for some reason. I think I'm allergic to the new predator. I gotta get them out of this room.
Oh wow!
But I'm good otherwise.
Is this going to be a thing that we're just going to bash the edge for the next 5 episodes in a row?
Quite possibly. I can't make any promises, but it's been on my mind.
Right. Out of I just got to get this out of the way. So you have the Edge, you have the Vizaro 2s, you have the Hypervenom Phantom 2s, the first version, and then you have, what else do we have? Something stiff as a board. Anyways, you have those 3. What you picking? 2 girls over drinks, go.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Those are all awful choices. I think
you're gonna take the edges, right? You're gonna take the press.
I don't know.
Mate.
I think
I mean they're stiff and they need some breaking time. They're not that bad. Give them the hot water trick, then they'll be all right.
So unimpressed.
I'd
have to try the Hypervenoms on again.
Okay.
But I feel like the shape of the Hypervenom is more foot-like.
Yeah, you're right. Shape's better, but that I tried them on, was it 2 weeks ago? And it's pretty awful.
Maybe a finish.
I will say though, the worst of the bunch, Vizaro 2s are just next level bad.
Oh yeah, the Vizaro 2 is never an option.
anyways, we get that you don't like him. I'm gonna go with the Edge. And speaking of the Edge, well, here we go. There's a new Edge in town, and it is quite possibly one of the craziest looking boots I've seen in the last very, very long time. It's called the Geometric Pack, and it is it's made up with different angular shapes. Which is funny. I mean, if you take the tooling of the launch color of the Edge and you look at that and all those little that shape, that pattern on that boot, basically has all these little triangles on it, and it felt like Adidas kind of took that and then applied color to it, and here we are. I'll just get the boot. But what do we say?
It really looks like some kind of fancy art project. And I like it. I think it's
a cool art project.
I think the Predator Edge is a really cool looking boot. I liked the Mutator and I liked the Freak as well, but I think the Predator Edge is such a cool design. Obviously, this hides a lot of that design that you may love or you may hate, but I don't know, to me, like it seems like something you'd go to like an art museum and it would be in a glass case surrounded by ropes and you couldn't get within 10 feet of it and it's just got a spotlight on it. It's fancy.
You just want to put this in a glass case so you don't have to wear it.
Yeah.
Now, but I know what you mean. It's actually a really cool looking boot. I was, I'd seen drawings of it a while ago and I thought, okay, that can either go it can work really well, or it can go really bad. I think it works really well. It's not it's not for everyone. Definitely not, because it is very colorful and very out there. And, I put them on my feet the other day and was just like, wow, they are rascal, aren't they? But I genuinely like the way they look. I think it's a good set of combinations. The regular seasoned Bootnerds podcast viewer will probably recognize that it's the same color as the brand new Adidas Champions League ball, which is I think it's a cool looking boot, and as you say, yeah, it hides a lot of the angular design of the edge, but I don't mind. It's actually it's a good look.
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. If you're into the Predator edge, and you're looking to be as flashy as possible, I can't imagine there's going to be a flashier colorway coming out than those.
I'm just going to say something. I told you just before we got started that I thought that the toe box on the geometric pack was slightly more pointy and lower than it is on the launch colorway. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely right. It is. We thought it was just some sort of optical illusion, but it is definitely.
Is it? Have you had those on by chance?
Yeah, both of them. And
did they feel any better?
They did feel a little, but maybe I figured I was just biased and thought them maybe it's just because I want them to feel a little bit tighter to my foot. But yeah, they definitely, this is obviously the first time I wear the Edge after doing the review on these, and I was like, oh, okay. The brand new boots, I need to break them in and stuff, but they didn't feel as stiff as I remembered. Mm-hmm. And same thing goes for the low cuts. Definitely felt a little bit more streamlined. Maybe but this is a production pair, so.
Yeah, I'm curious to see them now because I don't have those in hand yet, but look.
Obviously, they're still stiff and there's a lot of structure from the zone skin, but the shape of the boot was just a little less box-like.
Yeah, and I suppose that's possible because we have seen from Adidas in the past where a launch colorway ends up being different from the colorways that came after it. We saw this with the A17 for those that remember that kind of weird launch situation where the first colorway was a completely different football boot to everything else. I don't think that's the same situation here, but it's entirely possible that they could have lasted the boot in a slightly different way to give it a lower volume shape.
That just sounds weird to me. I mean,
it is weird, but it's not impossible.
Well, no, but yes, I would assume. It'd be weird they start using a new last. But anyways, just an observation that I thought, as we talked about, it might be like a visual thing, just an optical illusion. But I genuinely do believe that there's there's definitely something to it. I mean, I'm just gonna show Josh here on the FaceTime camera. I don't know if you can see it.
It looks like it dips down a little more, but there's so many colors and patterns there. It's really tough to say, right?
It is.
If it is a difference, it's subtle.
Yes, but I at least told myself that I could feel a difference on feet. It's not the biggest one. It's not gonna make the upper softer, but it just felt a little nicer for some reason. Mm-hmm. So yeah. A cool story, bro. I think it's nice. And the thing I wanted to ask you when I saw this was, and I haven't fully decided yet myself, but the thing I wanted to ask you was, is this one of the craziest, might be, but coolest camo designs we have seen in, let's say, the last 5 years?
I would say, I'm going to say yes. And I'm only going to say that because I think if you line them all up, every single one, that one stands out from the bunch.
Yes.
Because I really like what they did with the Legend 8 and that Tiempo camo colorway was really cool.
I agree with that.
But I think that when you put those next to these just stand out more.
It will be two different things here, right? But I definitely agree that these are just, to me, what a camo boot is supposed to do, it needs to be very visually powerful, and I think this is, but it also needs to really hide the shape of the boot. Mm-hmm. And I think this does that very well. You can't really tell where anything is. It's just a blur of color and shapes, and it's just like it is a little bit confusing to look at. And I think so it does a really good job of the camouflaging bit. I like that. Tempos were really cool. It's not up there for me among the best. I mean, it's more than 5 years ago, but the Evo Speed Razzle Dazzles, they still stand out as the coolest for me, I think. We've had some good ones over the years.
It's a funny thing because it really does hide all of the design of the Predator Edge. And it kind of makes me wonder whenever they're developing and prototyping football boots, they give them to pros, they wear them in training, and they're typically blacked out. And I don't think that the black necessarily hides as much as they would like.
No.
But if they did patterns like this, like I feel like had all the pros during the prototyping phase tried the boot in that colorway, we'd know a lot less about them come launch day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is funny because I feel like they do that with cars. Have you ever seen like the camouflage cars?
And I think it was a thing at some point to actually camouflage your boots as well. Puma pioneered that with the Razzle. I mean, it's been done before, right? But there was also, does the Superfly 4 Black History Month qualify as a camo boot? Because that thing was beautiful.
Yeah, I would say no. Okay. Because it still had a physical Nike swoosh, right?
It's a pattern. It's a pattern more than camo.
Yeah, I think it has to be no obvious branding is what qualifies as a camo boot. But Puma has definitely kind of been the leader in that for sure.
Absolutely. No, but I think these are cool. How would you rate them in terms of looks?
I would give them high marks just based on the unique factor.
Would you wear them?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem wearing them. Would it be like a first choice colorway for me? No. I'm at a point now where I just would rather not wear something super flashy. But I think they're really cool. 15-year-old Josh would be very into those, I think.
But the problem is the 15-year-old Josh, and we established that in the last episode, 15-year-old Josh doesn't necessarily have the best decision making on some of these areas.
It's very true. It's very true. I can't really argue that point.
Well, fair enough. I mean, 15-year-old Jay definitely also would have loved these. And the thing is that I have training tonight, and I'm gonna wear these just to see the reaction from my teammates. I might not play the full session in them because brand new. I haven't broken them in yet. But I think it's just one of those boots that's really gonna turn heads. I love the way it looks.
Yeah, I think they're really cool.
I think it's a great looking boot, to be fair. And I'm not in love with the way the launch colorway looks. I think it's growing on me. And I think they've followed through with and committed to the design. Cool stuff. But this is just something else, man. I'm a fan. I'm gonna say 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna go actually 9.5. I think that's a very early contender for one of the colorways of the year.
I can live with that.
It's gonna be a tough one to beat.
I can definitely live with that. So good stuff, Addy. I mean, it might not be, you might not have set the world on fire tech-wise with the boot, but that's a solid colorway.
Yeah, they look cool.
Right. Another colorway that we also saw released. Well, it hit the pitches before anyone else had seen anything, at least officially. Ronaldo wore the brand new Mercurial Dream Speed 005. And obviously, it's a bit of it seems to be the new chapter thing. That, okay, we had all the CR7 chapter boots and they were well cool. And now Nike, they finished telling the story, so they needed something else to build on. And now we got the Dream Speed boots. And I just said in my video that I appreciate what they're doing with the Dream Speed boots because they're so different. They don't look alike. They try new things, and I actually really enjoy that. But what do you think of these new bad boys here?
I've yet to see them in person when we're making this podcast. But I like that it's kind of a subtle, flashy football boot, if that makes any sense. I think it's one of those things from a distance, they're going to end up looking more white than anything. It's not until you get up close that you see the colors. The combination of colors, however, I'm not as in love with. And I don't know that I love the pattern that they've gone for on the upper.
No?
I was really impressed with the redesigned graphics for the Mercurials. I think both the blue colorway and the black and gold ones look way better in person than I was expecting. And I don't think I like these as much as those regular colorways. Okay. But I also kind of like it kind of looks like a fingerprint. The sole plate, I think they did a good job with. I think all the MDS colorways have had really cool sole
pattern
plates.
that, or rings in the water. Kind of, I really like that. And it kind of ties into that whole circular design you have on the redesign of the Mercs. I think it's pretty cool. The funny thing you said that it almost looks like a white boot. The story behind it goes that the color back here is called barely green, and it is barely green because green. Apparently, they did some studies on it. They slapped people into these what's it called EEG machines that measures the electronic impulses or whatever, the activity in your brain. And then they show people some colors. And apparently when people saw the color green, they responded with a feeling of calm and relaxation. So it's based on something that CR7 said. My mind is my strongest asset. My biggest strength. And when you are positive, you can achieve great things. So Nike went in and said, okay, cool. Green makes you calm, nice. And then they kind of transitioned into this pattern, radiant pattern, high energy pattern that comes from all the positive energy you get when you are positive. So, yeah.
Wow. Nike are such good storytellers.
But honestly, I know it sounds cheesy on paper because it's a little bit far fetched. But with the whole, with the times that we're in, and with mental health being a bigger and bigger thing, I like that they're putting it on the menu, so to speak. Putting it on the agenda.
I just like that. Okay, it's one thing to tell that story of mental strength and Cristiano Ronaldo and all that good stuff, but to actually go and do a study and effectively do brain scans and
I'm not sure they did it, but they used the science.
They used the science.
Yeah.
It's just,
otherwise to me, that's dedication, man.
Like, it's a really cool colorway, and it's like total contrast to what Adidas did with the launch of the Predator Edge. And I hate to bring it up, but we put a weight on the bottom to add more power, but we're not going to tell you anything else and how we came to that conclusion. I want to be like, give me a story, give me a reason to believe what you're doing there was a reason for it, and you didn't just do it because it looks cool, or you did it because, people are going to think this is a good feature. Like, I like that Nike does that, even with their colorways, let alone the development of the football boot.
And I know what you're saying. And it's like, it just makes the story a little bit like, I don't want to say purpose driven, but do you know what I mean? Like there's an actual, they start by taking a quote from Don Cristiano, yeah? And then they say, okay, how can we build on this? What can we do? And it feels like they just had a big brainstorm session and someone said, yo, I read this study the other day, or, I know someone, they did a study on this with colors. Let's find the duality between, the difference between being calm and high energetic, and how can we merge that? Okay, that's through positivity. Calmness brings positivity. High energy comes from positivity. All that stuff. It's just like a new level of building stories from one little snippet of a quote.
I don't know. I like that. Even if I don't really love the design and even the colors they've gone for, at least they've justified some weirdness, if that makes any sense. Where you look at, again, and I hate to compare Nike to Adidas, but they are the two main competitors. But I think Nike has done an excellent job with CR7 colorways specifically. I think all their signatures typically have really good meaning behind them and actual thought that went into the design. Where you got Adidas, and they've done some good ones, I think, great. But let's Messi 100. Let's just put it all over the boot and call it a day. It's something I would have done. And I don't consider myself a very good designer. So I don't know. I like the storytelling aspect to a colorway. There's gimmicks and some misleading when it comes to a lot of football boot technology in the industry. But when it comes to colorways and having a story, I always appreciate that story, even if sometimes it's a little bit nonsense. This one I think is less nonsense than some of the other ones, but I like the fact that they've done that.
I agree. It's just the ultimate insult when you just, it's something I would have done, and I don't consider myself a very good designer.
Jay, am I right? Like, what is this? This is like
it's not the most. I'll give you. It's not the most imaginative of boots. I think it's it doesn't. Maybe the color choice is not 100% what I would go for, but I don't think they look bad. And the story is kind of funny in the sense that they had this numbers up, and Messi is just like the new level, 99 for everyone else, 100 for Messi, right? Cool beans, I get it, but it doesn't. I'll give you, it doesn't have the same depth as the new MDS story.
And they could they're capable of making cool things. Like I remember 2014 Battle Pack, super cool idea, super cool design, very unique. Okay, we want Mo Salah to have his own signature colorway for AFCON. What do? Let's just recycle the design that we used before, put it in new colors, and slap his logo on there. The end product is very cool, but I feel like there's such an opportunity there to tell a story by way of colorway, and they just kind of opted not to do that.
Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying.
That's where I think Nike and Adidas really are still very separated in regards to, I don't even want to call it the marketing side of things, but I just think it's cool to have that intent behind what they've done rather than just like, we thought this looked cool, here's the final product, And I don't know. To me, that's how it goes. I've also seen a lot of comments when Ronaldo broke those out in a match. People saying that the design looks a lot like the Jordan 35. Which it kind of does. I don't know if you're familiar with that sneaker.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that when I saw it, but now that you say it, I can definitely see it.
Yeah, a little similar for sure. And there's actually a colorway in particular that kind of seems like it's a similar idea. But it's not my favorite of the MDS colorways. I'll say that much.
Definitely not mine either.
But I can appreciate what they've done.
What? Yours is the chapter 4, right?
Yeah, I think the last one was really cool. Yeah. I really like that one.
I like the 3s a little bit better, I think, but 4 was definitely also nice. The pack number 2, cool. I got all the references, but it was maybe just a little bit too much for me. And the first one, I couldn't take that whole Mbappe 44.7 kilometers an hour seriously. It's just I know there's a video on YouTube that says he ran that much, but it's been kind of debunked afterwards that he didn't actually run that fast because it's like almost Usain Bolt speeds. He's fast, but nah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I agree that it's nice when the stories have depth to them. I think it's a cool look. Maybe different colors would have resonated a bit better with me. But I like how they always keep this Superfly 5 style toe swoosh, and for some reason this little small swoosh on the inside of that outline big swoosh. I like it. I think it's cool, man.
I do too. I think they did a good job. The one thing I'll say about this colorway that I'm not in love with, and I think there's less of a sense of it with the regular Mercurial colorways that also have this kind of half circle thing, is I feel like the graphic almost makes the boot look chunkier than it is.
You're right. It does.
Just for whatever reason, it's not an issue on the regular colorway, but I think it's because you have such contrasting colors between that kind of greenish yellow and the purple. But other than that,
how good would it be to get that, the side swoosh back just on everything?
See, I agree with you, but I think that's an old school. I feel like we're old, and we remember
that is the case.
We remember Vapor 1, 2, and 3, where everybody else that's much younger than us is more into Superfly 4 style swooshes.
You make a fair point, but it's annoying because I want the side swoosh.
I agree. Like to me,
be ignorant and just be like
some of the most aesthetically pleasing designs Nike have ever put out is the simplicity of Vapor 1, 2, and 3. Minimal branding, solid color for the majority of the upper, a little bit of a graphic, little bit of the design at the heel on the Vapor 3. That to me, it doesn't get cleaner than that.
I agree. One thing though that I will say, I love the look of the match materials. You know that the black, white swoosh and either blue and red heel. My God, that just looked so unique. So special, right? It still does. I'd love to see a remake of that one day. It was, and is to this day a solid boot. Anyways, that's not what the topic's about here. Rating out of 10 for looks, at least.
For looks, I can't go higher than 7. It's very average for me. I like it, but I can't rate it too high.
I'm not in love with it either. I can definitely see where it's going, but it's probably not the kind of design that I would pop out myself and say I'm totally rocking this today. So I'll say 7.5 for me. Okay. Appreciate the story more than I do the design, but I really, when you have the two boots together and you put them up here and it creates that full circle, that looks super cool. Do I have them? Yeah, I have. Well,
it opens a portal to a new world. If you're listening to the podcast, Jay's rummaging through his very disorganized football boot pile on the floor.
Who, me?
Yep.
No, I have it in a bag. It's way better. It's way better. I mean, I'm not some sort of savage like you. Look at this. Actually, pretty cool, no?
Here's a fun fact that nobody knew until right now. At the moment, I have so many boxes in this room that it takes me about 5 minutes of moving boxes around for me to roll this chair to this spot to the other side of the room where it normally is. And that's your fun fact of the day.
Well, the good thing about having, so many boxes on the floor is that you can't have boots on the floor, meaning that, you're technically not as sloppy, right?
No, it's more organized than it normally would be for sure.
Okay, because the boots are just in boxes instead.
Yeah.
And the boxes are all over the place. Okay, well, fair enough. I like that. I like that way of thinking. Josh, any other news of the weeks gone by that you want to bring up before we move into the questions?
Quick little shout out to Puma Ultra 1.4. Never been in love with Puma doing these like kind of 0.5 variations and then calling it a brand new football boot. 3 differences that I noticed mainly with Ultra 1.4. I feel like the toe box is slightly lower, which I prefer. It feels like it fits a little slimmer. They changed up the design of the internal lining material as a reinforcement, where it's a different pattern through the midfoot. No real difference in terms of feel. I think they're a smidge lighter, like we're talking a couple grams, but nothing that's super noticeable. And for whatever reason, the Grip Control Pro texture on the surface seems to be a little bit less sticky this time around, but that could be a variation from colorway to colorway.
Yeah.
For $200, it's still just an incredible value in terms of what you get performance-wise compared to its competition. I don't like that it's such a small change, but I still think it's a phenomenal football boot.
The thing is that I haven't worn it yet. I've only had it in hand once, the new 1.4s. Literally took a photo of it on Instagram the other day, and that was the first and the currently the only time I've held it in my hands. And so I can't really comment on what you're saying, to be honest. But I trust you. What I did think when I had them in my hand, I haven't compared them yet, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on this, is that it felt just a little bit more, plasticky, and when I squeezed it and tried to bend it between my fingers, it felt like a little more, when you bend paper, like it's a little bit more edgy, the bend. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
A little bit more crisp than the 1.3s. Maybe it's just me, but that was just my first reaction. It's like, damn, what happened?
Yeah, one of the first things I did is I grabbed an Ultra 1.3 and I held it side by side, and I kind of just carefully scanned everything because it's difficult to view the pattern because of this graphic they put on the surface. It hides a lot. And from what I can tell, there's no real changes to the weave of this Matrix Evo material. There's no changes to the material they've used for the liner. From a thickness standpoint, it feels about the same to me. And when I had them on my feet, there is no difference that I could feel. The only thing, and this is if you have the two boots side by side, is it feels like they've lowered the volume in the toe box and forefoot slightly on the 1.4.
Nice.
But I feel like it's so subtle you wouldn't even notice it unless you had the two boots on either foot. And I'm also kind of just like, similar to the Predator Edge, this new colorway you were talking about, I don't know if it's just in my head, if it's just like wishful thinking on, I would like them to improve something because it's technically a new model. So at the end of the day, it's super subtle. If you have an Ultra 1.3, it's certainly not reason to upgrade because it's basically the same football boot over again.
Right. But it just looks so freaking cool.
It's such a good, again, I'm not a pink boot guy. I can't imagine how many times I've said it on the podcast at this point, but I would wear these. These are so cool looking.
So cool. I mean, that's what I said on my Instagram post. And I'm interested in hearing your opinion. I said that I might think that Puma have been having the strongest, inline colorway game for the last couple of years. Because everything they've been putting out for their inline packs, it's been, at worst good, at best outstanding.
Yeah.
And the worst pack I can think of was that what was it called? The Euros pack, the white colored one. That was called I forget the name. See, we suck at the.
I can't remember even what you're talking about.
We should be called the Bootnerds podcast, except for when it comes to colorways.
I can't remember at all. It was a white-based colorway?
It was. It had that multicolor. It was called
you didn't like the multicolor ones?
Spectra. Everything was called something with spectrum or spectral or super spectral and all that stuff.
That's right. All three brands had similar pack names at the same time.
Yes. So shame on me for forgetting that. But just juggling all of these names. If it's more than 2 weeks old, I can't remember. All the new stuff coming out. Anyways, that was maybe not that was my favorite. But apart from that, I think they've been putting out some pretty smashing stuff.
Yeah, I now that I think of it, I can't think of too many things that I disliked from Puma so far in the last 3 years or so. I think the current Puma Future that's also part of this pack is a little bit unusual with this black and purple and neon green.
Sure.
It's a lot. It's very busy, but if you're into that type of thing, I could see why you'd really like that. But yeah, I think Puma has kind of been going in their own direction as far as colorway is concerned, where I feel like, again, Nike and Adidas, it almost seems like they copy each other in terms of colorway packs. Look at the shade of blue on the Mercs versus the X right now. It's very close.
Compare that to the boot that came out before, the Mizuno Merlin Neos.
Yeah.
It's the same boot.
It's basically the same colorway in a bunch of different models. So I like the fact that Puma's kind of doing their own thing. And in general, I think they're going in the right direction. They're doing an excellent job at, I don't want to say rebranding because Puma's always had the notoriety. It's a big company. Everyone knows about them, but I think they're doing a good job at maintaining that momentum in terms of continuing to grow their market share.
Absolutely. Now I think they're on an upturn, definitely. And product's good, pricing is good. I just pray and hope that they keep it to those 200 euros. That would be great. Anyways, that was a complete detour from what we were supposed to talk about. But I'll definitely go out and check how the 1.4s feel on feet, playing wise. I'm looking forward to it. It might just be the same. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Anyways, Josh, we have got some questions as well. There was one that made me laugh a lot from Jason Rico. It just says, capital, where is Jolter? And I don't know if you meant to put this on the Unisport channel, but I mean, Jolter has never really been here. We get asked it all the time on the Unisport channel because obviously Jolter's not in the videos anymore. But I just found it funny that it made its way to the
way here. Okay.
Anyways, clearly I was the only one who thought that was funny. So,
well, you see it all the time. I don't hear about Jolter as often as you do, I'm sure.
No, so maybe yeah. That was funny, Jay.
I'll answer the question. I have no idea where Jolter is.
No.
Not a clue.
I think he's in Copenhagen somewhere, but you never know with that guy. You never know with that guy. Phoenix Ace asks, what would be cool? A Predator Freak with the Zone skin. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But my question is just, is Zone skin so stiff and structured in itself that it would still feel stiffer than the Freak does? I think it would. What do you say?
I think Zone skin is a contributor to the stiffness of the upper, but I also think they've just done something with the upper because you did a video comparing the Predators as well. When you have the Freak and the Edge on either foot at the same time, it's so much of a way bigger difference than you'd expect it to be, considering that both boots are utilizing the same materials on paper.
At least that's what we're told.
That's what we're
It
told.
must be something with the liner, or it also looks like a different material. But they call it prime knit. But what is prime knit? Are they using the same yarns? Are they using the same type of knit? All that stuff. It could also be something that they still call it prime knit, but it's just their best type of knit. If you know what I mean. It might not be
it's so much more structured, and I'm not sure if it's. I don't know if it's glue, and it's funny because I kind of half expected to have the freak on one foot, the edge on the other foot, and then say to myself, you know what? The edge is not as far off as I initially thought. But when I did that, it actually made it worse for me because the Predator Freak already was not the most comfortable football boot in the world on my foot.
Okay.
But compared to the Predator Edge, I'm like, wow, you know what? I could wear these. I feel great in these. These feel awesome.
It's so much more soft like. Wow, it is soft like. That's not a very good look when something is soft like. And it's not. Anyways, it's more sock like to me than the Edge is.
And it's not a very sock like upper to begin with. So the fact that it feels sock like against the Predator Edge it just kind of points out how stiff the Predator Edge is, which again, it's unheard of for football boots in 2022. I can't remember the last football boot that felt that stiff.
I can. The Vizaro 2s.
Was Vizaro 2 before or after Phantom 2? After, right?
Yeah, it was after. It was after.
Yeah, I guess that's
I remember raving about the Vizaro 1s, they were not fantastic either, but they were nice because they reminded me a bit of the Hypervenom 1s at a time where the Hypervenom 1s were dead. So they were kind of like the next best thing, right? But yeah, definitely. JayMike Osario, the Dubai coach, I thought of you when I read this. The Dubai coach would love these because they're stiff and have protection. Laughing smiley. Crying with laughter.
I'm gonna refrain from commenting.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it? Jay, have you ever seen it?
I've seen it, and I'm not gonna say too much.
He seems like a really nice guy.
Sure.
I'm sure he's a great coach.
He's definitely not a boot nerd. Let's just put it like that. And if it was me, I don't go into talking about brain surgery because I know nothing about it. I would just, yeah.
I don't know. It's fine to post videos on the internet, but I'm not a fan of giving advice that that's just
no foundation, right? Yeah.
It's I don't even want to say that's not good advice. It's just sometimes not advice. Like to pick up a boot off the shelf that you've never even tried on and say, "Oh, this is pretty good. I recommend this." Like, I don't know. Like if that's the type of information that you want to base a buying decision off of, go for it. But in general, it's just not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we've both put a lot of time and effort and a solid percentage of our lives dedicated to trying to give useful and solid and information that's based on objective reasons.
Yes.
So
to as much of an extent as we can when it's all subjective. But I know what you're saying. It's like, yeah, I would probably never make a buying decision on anything off of TikTok, but maybe I'm just, a different generation and too old.
Who knows?
I got this comment on YouTube today with, I was doing a video with Philip, PWG, and it said, the comment, "You're both balding, full stop." And I was like, yes, that is true. And it was like, yeah, we are getting older. That's just the way it goes.
It's hard. You know what? It's a different world out there. Every time I see no cap, I'm just like, I have to really think about what does that mean? Is that good?
Does that mean
bad?
Again? Oh,
I don't know. It took me a long time to figure that one out.
Kids on the internet these days. I know I sound even older when I say that, but it's funny. Anyways, Devontae Lewis. So you're saying that the Edge is as stiff as the Hypervenom Phantom 2 launch colorway. And again, I tried it, and for me, the Hypervenom Phantom 2, the shape might be a little bit more suited for my foot, but there's no way I'm choosing the Phantom 2s over the Edge. I'm just saying.
Okay. But I think they're in the same ballpark. We're not worlds apart with those two in terms of stiffness.
No. Alex Martins, freak over edge. We just have to wait for the next Predator generation, he says. Quick question for you guys. What about the Predator Edge sole plate? It should be the one used for the next Predator remakes. Is that different from the Freak? I see a Predator accelerator coming. I'm totally going to cut that out because that has no relevance. So it should be the one used for the next Predator remakes. Is that a difference from the Freak? And yes. The tooling on the edge is different from the Freak, and the studs are more The studs are more angular, and they are more they're more angular. They have a bigger, flatter surfaces, which means that you will get more bite in the ground, and I at least tell myself that I'm able to feel a difference when I've worn the Freak and wearing the edges after. The Freaks for me are more comfortable and a little bit more gentle when it comes to turning and all that stuff, but by and large they feel similar-ish, but these definitely have more of an edge, pun intended.
I think the sole plate itself feels almost the same to me. Like it looks very different, but it might be a smidge stiffer, but I'm not sure if that's just from the upper not allowing the sole plate to bend.
It's just like your foot just feels stiffness, and it's just all the way through.
I like the stud pattern. I think the more aggressive direction is probably the right one for the Predator, and it kind of relates it a little bit more closely to what the Predator stud pattern used to be. And again, that weight at the toe, I think it's insignificant to the experience. So I don't have a problem with them using that sole plate moving forward. I think, and I think I said this in the last episode, I think if you change that upper to anything softer, the boot it's a completely different experience. Yeah, it literally goes from 0 to hero.
Yeah. I'm going to do the hot water trick on them, just to see if it works. I'm very, very curious to see if it works. Because it might be a completely different experience, and I'd like to try that experience.
I would be worried.
I mean, after doing a little video on this, I mean, I genuinely like Zone Skin. It is just so next level grippy, and if you learn how to tame the beast, so to speak, I honestly, genuinely think that it can make a difference, at least mentally, right? I like the direction of it. It's just. It has its downside too, and if I can wiggle my way around that, it would be very interesting to try.
Yeah, look, whatever Adidas needs to do to make them feel good, that's what I want. I just want them to feel good on my feet. I don't think anyone's questioning the performance of the extra grip or even the sole plate and anything like that. The shape and the feel needs to be good. And right now, it's not. Right. Or at least not to the standard that it needs to be when you compare it to its competition.
Solid. Jacob says, which is more uncomfortable out of the box, the Predator Edge or the Puma King Platinum 21?
Oh.
Which we've also given some stick.
Oh, I would definitely say the Predator Edge. To me, the Puma King Platinum, it's questionable as to why they feel like that, considering it's supposed to be a kangaroo leather football boot. We know Adidas can make a stiff knitted upper. They've done it in the past. So I guess it's not that surprising that they've done it here on the Predator Edge. Just to me, that's a football boot that, again, when you compare it to the alternatives you have for $200 or less, it is not to a standard that you would expect.
Right. I would say that the Kings are a bit more comfortable out of the box than the Edges. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, they're not outstanding like the Platinums were, the first Platinums, but yeah, still pretty. I mean, the Kings are not bad. They're just not outstanding like they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Brandon Lobos, question: if you guys could have complete control over a football boot company like Adidas, Nike, Puma, or any other ones, how would you run it, or what would you change? Love the videos. So, the biggest two girls over drinks question ever. Well, you're the CEO of Adidas or VP of Adidas football. What you doing?
Jay, I feel like that could be like a podcast in itself.
Okay.
To like lay out a whole. I actually think that'd be a cool episode. We should do that because
let's do that.
I've thought a lot about this, and I don't think I can answer it in a minute.
So, do you have like a written application letter to Adidas saying ladies, if I'm CEO, this is what we're gonna do?
I don't have that, written down, but I kind of have
have it
an
in your head.
idea of what I would want to do in my head. Yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about that in another episode. That would be genuinely interesting because there's a lot of, obviously knowing the industry. There's a lot of stuff that you could say from the outside. Oh, why did you do this? But there's a reason for that. There's moves and counter moves, and somehow they all make sense to a bigger extent. I mean, there's a reason for the madness, so to speak, and it's not just people just walking blindly in one direction. So it's going to be a nice. I think it's going to be a nice conversation. Definitely, let's do that. I'm out of questions though. So
okay, so that will be the last question that we won't answer. We'll save it for the next episode. We'll see what happens.
Maybe the next episode. Let's see if something like tremendously cool pops up. We'll probably talk about that beforehand. Or if you have any other topics you'd like us to visit, leave them in the comment section right down below. Which is where you can also leave your questions that we're going to answer in the next episode, unless of course we make an entire episode out of it. Then you can watch it there. That was another total sidetrack. It's been a fun episode, Josh, just going off into any direction that the conversation has taken us. But if you want to hear more to the Boot Nerds podcast, make sure you like the video. Subscribe, of course, by clicking the white bubble in the middle of the screen. You can watch way more of Josh and myself by going to follow our separate channels, as are for you and Unisport. And also, tune back next week. It's going to be a good one as well. With those words, I've been JayMike, and I approve this message.
Thanks for watching.